My name's Nick Entwistle. I'm the Vice President of Education at the University of Surrey Students' Union 2008 to 2010. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about some of the changes to the academic regulations that will be affecting you, the work that your union's been doing on helping to influence the university on those changes, and what the impact on you will be. So we sent an email out a few months ago asking for some of you to get involved in focus groups and other things concerning the changes in academic regulations. We became aware that the university was looking to change the academic regulations around that time. The regs have been put together over many years, and they'd sort of evolved into a bit of a mess where things contradicted each other, the regs were confusing, and ordinary students found them very, very difficult to understand. On top of that, some external factors were pushing the university interchange the regulations. For instance, students who were training credits into a second year when they should have passed them in the first year was about to become very, very expensive for the university, and that was something they were quite concerned about. What we were concerned about is we didn't want the university to change the regulations without going out, consulting students and taking our views on board. So we went to you to find out what you thought. To change the regulations, the university needed the permission of one of its most senior meetings called the University Senate. Both myself, the Vice President of Education, and the Union President sit in that meeting. So we were at the meeting where the decision was made. However, obviously the planning for the regs changes started way before that. We went through a meeting called the University Learning and Teaching Committee, which I sit on, where again we've got an opportunity to change some of the discussions and shape the debate. But even before that started, there were some focus groups that were set up around the university. So we had the chance to go there, influence faculties, registry, Dean of Students Office, additional learning support, see what everyone thought, and bring your views to the people who'll be making the decision. Much better. Okay, so what I'd really like to explain to you is the things that are going to affect you directly as students, and that's the changes to the regulations. There's no getting away from the fact that the regulations that we will have now are tougher. They are more rigorous. But hopefully our influence and our lobbying of the university has made them fair as well. So the first big change is that over the next few years, all programmes, both at undergraduate and postgraduate taught level, will be moving to 15 credit blocks, apart from projects and dissertations and things like that. That decision was made at the university's executive board, but then was also brought to Senate as well. So that's the big change that's going to be happening over the next few years. The second big change is to do with late submissions. What happens if you hand in your work late, if you miss the bus, if things just get too much and you miss the deadline? Now initially the proposal was that any work handed in late would get 0%. Now through discussions with the university, through lobbying, and through going out to our partners in the US and going to other students' unions around the country, finding out what they do, we managed to convince the university to back down from that proposal. We felt it was too draconian. The penalty has got tougher though, that's the downside. So from now on, the penalty for a late submission is going to be 10% per day to a maximum of 5 days. If you don't get that work in after 5 days, you're going to fail the coursework. The next change, and one that's been brought in already to a certain extent, is the introduction of summer resits. Now, some departments had summer resits already. I came from the music department, for example, and we always had some resits, but some of you hadn't. This all comes around something to do with training credits. The University and the Higher Education Funding Council for England don't really want students training credits into the next academic year. So summer resits are going to give you the opportunity to retake any modules you might need to before the next academic year. And that's going to be around the August period sometime. Your programme directors and your tutors should be flagging up to you when that summer resit period is, so you've got it in your diaries, and just in case you need to be there, you haven't booked holidays and things like that. Another change is to compensation. Now, some of you might not have come across compensation before, but compensation is when a student who's otherwise doing very, very well doesn't do so well in one or two of the optional modules, so modules that aren't considered core to the degree. The amount of modules you'll be allowed to be compensated for has been reduced. So you'll now be able to get compensation for 30 credits at the first level and only 15 credits per year for any level after that. And that's tougher than it is at the moment. The reason that's been done, the university pointed out that with 300 credits you could get an ordinary degree, which is less than an honours degree, which most of you will get, and an honours degree is 360 credits. So the total amount of compensation you can now get is only equal to 60 credits. This is quite complicated, and hopefully it won't affect too many of you, but that is another change to the regulations. Something else that hasn't changed, but that we fought hard to defend, was the ability of final years to take compensation without having to do the resit. This is a problem if you're a final year and you sit your exam in May, June kind of time. If you find out you fail, but you had to wait till August before you could sit the exam to get compensation, you wouldn't be able to graduate with your friends. The Students' Union made really, really strong representation to the university, both informally and through formal meetings, that this was draconian, it was unfair, it was unreasonable, and its effect on students was disproportionate. After some time, the university came back and agreed with us. So if any final year students fail a 15 credit module in their final exams, they will still, as long as they meet the other conditions, be able to accept the compensation then and graduate with all their friends. I know that's a complicated regulation, but that did take a while to win, and we really hope it will benefit some of you. Another change that's going to be brought in, and one that might not be too popular, is the maximum mark you can get if you resit an assessment. Now, at the moment, what happens, if you fail a piece of work or a module and you resit, your mark is the average of the mark which you achieve in the resit and the pass mark. So the pass mark at undergraduate level is 40, the pass mark at postgraduate taught level is 50. And they average out the 2 marks, and that's the result. The university went around other institutions in the country, and we went around other students' unions, and we found that we were one of the only people to be doing this. We did initially make representations to the universities to try and save the old system, but in the end, we were one of the only people in the country doing it our way. The new system is going to be, if you fail a module, you fail a piece of work, and you resit, the maximum mark you'll be able to achieve is the pass mark. So if you're an undergraduate student, that mark will be 40%. If you're a postgraduate taught student, that mark will be 50%. So as well as the changes I've talked about, there are other modifications to regulations. These should be being sent out to you. If you haven't got a copy, go and see your programme director. If you're not sure what some of the implications of the regulations are to you, go and talk to someone in your department, again your programme director. If you have any concerns about them, again talk to your department, talk to your student academic rep, come and see us in the Students' Union and have a chat. So those are the changes that are going to happen. But when will they take effect? Well, the regulations will come into force from the start of this academic year. But obviously, because this is quite a complicated turnover, some of the old regulations may still apply to some students who are already registered under very specific circumstances. If you think that might apply to you, talk to your personal tutor, come in and talk to us in the Students' Union, and we'll see what we can do. But for the majority of people, these will come into force in September when you re-register. Okay. So those are the proposed changes, and that's the timescale in which they're going to appear. It's been quite a long process, it's been quite a hard process. The university hasn't always agreed with us, we haven't always agreed with the university, and the university hasn't always agreed with itself on some of these things. But we did go out, we tried to get as much feedback from you as possible. The focus groups we ran, which some of you came to, were very, very useful in us showing the university exactly what was important to you, what you felt, and what you felt was right, what you felt was reasonable, and what you thought was fair for your degree. We have been able to have an impact. We might not have got everything we wanted, but the regulations are definitely better with our input than they would have been without.